Hey, this is Kenny from Kenny's Audio File Rank Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my channel. Please like and subscribe. I sincerely appreciate that. In this video, I'm going to do a comparison, give an assessment of my opinion of the Ahmad Jamal Trio at the Pershing, but not for me. Stereo pressing versus the mono pressing, and which one is more pleasing in terms of listening pleasure, at least to me, or my system to my ears. To be up front, I'm using for the stereo pressing, I used a Riga P8 turntable with a Feta 3 cartridge, and for the mono pressing, I use a Technics SP15 turntable with a mono cartridge. I use the Audio-Technica AT33 mono cartridge for the mono pressing. This is the version of the stereo pressing, original stereo, or earlier pressing I have of the stereo version of the record. And this is, I'm using the black label, earlier mono label pressing of the record. I also have the gray pressing of the record too, the mono, but I'm using the black label pressing for this comparison. And I have to say that this 1958 session by Ahmad Jamal, the Ahmad Jamal Trio, is quite impressive. The trio consists of Ahmad Jamal piano, Israel Crosby bass, and Vernell Fournier, please give me mispronouncing that name, on drums. This is recorded January 16th at the Pershing Lounge in Chicago in 1958. And I have to bring this out and mention that because this is very important to this video. It says here, the stereo version of this album has been electronically reprocessed by Dick Allen and Ron Mallow. The term electronically reprocessed is a very important term, and I was wondering if you in the audience think that is their way of saying it's not real stereo, but simulated stereo. Please leave your comments in the comment section below if you have experience with the stereo version of this pressing. I know a lot of the stereo recordings during that era, the late 50s, early 60s, you had sound coming directly out of the right speaker and sound directly come out of the left speaker, and nothing in between a lot. The depth dimension in the sound stage basically really was not present, in a strong way. You just out of left speaker and out of right speaker. They were just figuring it out. I know even later than that, they had albums that were, this Miles Davis Milestone says electronically rechanneled for stereo. And I'm going to get into the comparison of this electronically rechanneled channel for stereo record, the Miles Davis, the sound of this one, and give you my opinion of it compared to the sound of this stereo. But in terms of the performance, hey, this is Ahmad Jamal Trio. This was a hit record. It sold a lot of copies back during that era. It was a huge seller for Ahmad Jamal. And the playing on this record, his style is a little bit laid back, a little bit on the tame side. It's not nearly necessarily adventurous in terms of aggressiveness like a McCoy Tyner, but it is somewhat adventurous in terms of his detail and intricacy of his playing. It's a very beautiful set, a very beautiful session by the Ahmad Jamal Trio. They play fabulously, especially, in my opinion, on No Greater Love. And all three songs on side 2 are just spectacular. But overall, this is a spectacular effort by the Ahmad Jamal Trio. All three players, on bass, drums, and piano. If I were to judge or give this performance a score, I'd give it a solid 9. Now, I'm going to give the score of the recording in a minute, or a couple of minutes. But this record, the stereo record, when I'm listening to it, I feel like I'm getting the mono source out of the left speaker. And I feel like I'm getting the right speaker. It was almost designed to create ambience, not necessarily a stereo sound stage or a stereo image, but to create ambience, but not depth, dimension, and detail of a true stereo sound stage. We can pick out and discern instruments and musicians in a three-dimensional sound stage. And for this record, I can't necessarily say, hey, Ahmad Jamal's coming out of the left speaker. The bass player is in the center, and the drummer is maybe a little bit to the left of the center of the sound stage. No, I don't get that. What I get is, it's really strange because I can hear the piano coming out of both speakers simultaneously, and it creates a very unusual effect. And I think this particular stereo setup wasn't designed to create depth, dimension, and sound stage, but it sounds like it was designed to create ambience only. Now, I must admit, especially on side 2, the drums sound actually pretty good and different to listen to. And at times, I felt like the cymbal of the drum was coming, the sound was coming from a little bit to the right of the left speaker, a little bit inside the sound stage. That ambience feeling created that sensation. But overall, this does not sound like a true stereo record to me on my system. It doesn't. And it sounds like a record that was created to produce very good ambience, but not a very good stereo sound stage. For example, this Miles Davis electronic read channel for stereo, this one, in terms of sound, sounds much better than this one. This sounds close to, or closer to, a true stereo recording over the Ahmad Jamal Trio, this version of Miles Davis. And this plainly says electronically rechanneled for stereo, because you can pick musicians out in a three-dimensional sound space in this one, whereas the Ahmad Jamal, you can't necessarily. Getting to the mono, that's a different story. Now the mono, there's a punch to it. The drums have a bite to it, have an energy to it. It sounds like a real drum kit. The piano, the way it's recorded, you can get all the whole register of the piano. It's a little bit bright at times, but I think it's appropriately bright, the high treble. And the bass, it gets the depth of the bass very well, this recording does. And the mono, I got the impression that I was sitting at this venue, at this club, front row center, at the best seat or best table at this venue. This is a fabulous mono recording, in my opinion. Listening to it on a true mono cartridge, by the way. I recommend this one, the mono, over the stereo because of the realism that it provides in terms of the richness and the beauty and the texture and the sound of the instruments over this contrived sounding stereo version. Now this sounds good if you just listen, seeking ambience in a recording. This one sounds great if you want the detail and realism of the venue. It really does. I choose the mono over the stereo, in my opinion, because, like I said, the instruments sound more realistic, and it sounds like Ahmad Jamal is in the room or the mono recording, whereas a stereo, like I said, it provides good ambience in a different flavor to this fabulous recording, but it doesn't sound realistic and true, whereas a mono does. I also have to say this, that the stereo, when I was listening to it, because like I said, I got the sound of piano coming from the right speaker and the left speaker. Listening to stereo over time, because I have to listen to these several times to come up with an opinion, there was a fatigue factor listening to stereo. Whereas the mono, it's like being in the venue. I know Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds did a reissue of this record, the mono. They're sold out at the moment. When they go into repress, I'm definitely going to buy the Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds version, because they do great reissues of their records. I bet this must sound awesome in the reissue version. But this one, like I said, the performance, I give a 9. The sound somewhere between an 8 and a 9 of this Ahmad Jamal Trio at the Pershing, but not for me. I choose a mono over the stereo. I have volume 2 of the same set, but this is another story for another time. If you have both versions, mono or stereo, please leave your opinion or assessment in the comment section below, because yours might be different from mine. You might have a better stereo setup, or you might have a different, you might have better cartridge. Like I said, I'm using a Riga P8 turntable with a Feta 3 cartridge for the stereo. For the mono, I'm using a Technics SP15 turntable with a mono cartridge, Audio Technica AT33 mono cartridge for the mono record. But please leave your comments in the comment section below. Like I said, I take the mono over the stereo. Please leave your comments in the comment section below if you have both of these records. It'd be interesting to get your take on it. Thank you. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. And also in the description section of my channel, I have a lot of links to some of my older videos. Please check them out. But thank you very much for viewing my video. Please like and subscribe. God bless, strong love, and peace to all worldwide.